Hey everybody, so today we're going to get ready together and I'm going to show you what I do in terms of no foundation makeup. I don't feel like doing foundation. I'm a bit sick, you can probably still hear, so I don't really care to do a full face, nor do I actually usually do it very much. But I'll start with my Blanc de Perle lotion whitening pearl of perfection by Guerlain. I really like the line. It agrees with my skin very well, but I don't really see any whitening effects. I've been using it for a couple of weeks. I wasn't what I was after. I just bought it because I was curious and I really like the packaging. I really like the super minimalist white packaging, and it seemed like good ingredients, so I bought it. But honestly, it doesn't really do much. I'm not sure if it would do something with a tan skin, but with a bit pale skin, it doesn't do anything, which is fine because I wasn't really looking for the whitening thing. This is kind of cool looking. Guerlain Blanc de Perle Pearl Drops Whitening Essence. Again, there's no whitening, but it is quite smoothing. Basically, I feel like it's a bit of a resurfacing essence. It helps the skin regenerate. But this line is for those of us who have like freckles or melasma. You know, after you have kids, you can get melasma on your cheeks, around your eyes, on your forehead, really anywhere on your skin. So this line is supposed to help with that. And for me, I had freckles, and usually things that claim to get rid of hyperpigmentation of the skin also are quite nice and resurfacing, which is what I like. So that's why I'm trying this. Of course, I don't have anything to whiten. I have some freckles across my nose, but those haven't changed any, and nor do I expect them to. I think all this stuff is not as effective with what they claim. Then I'm going to go in with the History of Faux Soon One essence. This is my sort of everyday essence that I use for a while now for just, you know, hydrating and keeping the skin happy. My skin really likes it. It's nice and glowy, easy. I actually put it around the eyes as well. The Guerlain essence, I prefer not to put too much around the eyes because it is supposed to be anti-pigmentation, therefore resurfacing. Unless, of course, you have major issues on that skin, I would prefer to avoid any harsh ingredients on it. I will still put like pro-retinoids there because, well, they're there for a reason, but really I wouldn't recommend anything really peeling under there, which is why I didn't put it there, although it's very mild. Next, I'm going to go in with the Blanc de Perle UV protector, which is SPF 50 PE+++. I like this. I think it would leave, it's a physical sunscreen, right? So I think it would leave a bit of a possibly white cast, but only on the darkest chocolatiest skin. If you're like medium, I don't think it would do anything like that. And it gives you quite a bit of glow. You can see how glowy you get after it. So this one, I don't really use the moisturizer after it because it feels like it's pretty hydrating. So it's like a twofer for me. I like the finish a lot. I think it's nice, and I think it gives my skin a bit of a healthier look as well as moisturizing. It's the glow, definitely. Sniffles, oh my goodness. I've been sick for a while. The weekend was absolutely miserable. I spent most of it in bed being ill. And I was on call yesterday, but luckily, you know, nobody got sick overnight, so I actually got a good night's sleep. Lucky me. I'm going to go in with my Kiehl's creamy eye treatment with avocado, which is this little guy over here. I think most people know what it looks like, and I'm quite generous with it because I'll be concealing, so I want a nice prepped hydrated skin under there when I don't conceal. I still like to moisturize, but definitely when you conceal, especially because concealer can be quite drying, it's important to prep well. So I'm going to let this sit a little bit because I want everything to absorb before I start on the actual face makeup, which will be concealer mostly. What I am going to do though is go ahead and do my brows while we're waiting. This is my Dior Show Brow Styler in 001 Universal Brown, if anybody's interested in the color. Yeah, it's an easy pick for me. It's just universal. It's taupey brown. I think it'll work from anywhere from, if you have dark eyebrows and blonde hair, which some people do, it'll work. But also if you have anywhere from medium brown to darker brown hair, it is truly somehow quite a universal color. So depending on how much you apply, the payoff will change from quite light taupey gray based color to darker brown based with a gray undertone color, which is, I think, a genius way to formulate a product. But I have to say, they don't just have one color. So if this one doesn't fit you, they do have a selection, and the texture is fantastic. And no matter how little, it's never broken on me. You know, it's still like it holds itself together. I like that sort of tougher pencil texture. And I really appreciate, obviously, that I don't have to sharpen it, because I'm not a big fan of sharpening things. So brows are done pretty much. I'll fix them up with some gel later. So I think I can go ahead and start applying concealer. Today I'm actually going to be super minimal and take my Visible Lift Serum by L'Oreal. And this one also has a bit of SPF. And I'm going to put that under my eyes to both conceal and brighten. And this kind of a look I prefer to do with my fingertips. Most of it I prefer to do with my fingertips, but quite honestly, it just depends. Sometimes I don't feel like I want to dirty my fingers. So a little bit of concealing all around the face. What I wanted to mention, I know it looks like foundation, but this is quite a thin texture concealer, and it doesn't offer a lot of coverage, so it actually looks very much like skin. In fact, it's quite undetectable. Once you blend it out, the coverage is really quite minimal. All I do is pat, pat, pat. If you have texture issues, I would go in with a primer first. I am having no texture issues at the moment. Not to say that it's always the case. Sometimes I have more, sometimes I have less. I never have a lot, but I do have some occasionally. So the idea is just to sort of even out the redness. I'm not concealing anything. Like, you can totally see all of my freckles, all of my skin. It's completely visible. I'm only trying to reduce the redness around the nose and the dark circles. So these are the two places that I'm focusing a little bit more coverage. But everything else, like here on the cheeks, is completely bare. There's nothing there. So the idea of this no foundation makeup or no makeup look is coming from a place where you don't feel like you have to hide your skin because your skin is peeking through. It's just a little bit of a correction of obvious problems, not to distract from the rest of your features, basically. So that's all what I'm doing with skin. I think because I want very natural look, I'm going to actually do something with my lipstick. This is Pepper by Bite Beauty. I'm going to take a little bit of it on my hand, and this is just super nude color, as you can see. I'm going to take a little bit on my hand. I'm going to pick it up with my fingertips, and I'm going to apply it to my cheeks. If you're a fan of cream products and you do tolerate cream products, your skin doesn't mind them. Quite honestly, a nice cream, not very shiny lipstick is the way to go for cream blushes. The texture is pretty much the same as a cream blush. And you can also color coordinate your looks and also not clutter your vanity with unnecessary products, because oftentimes what you like on your lips is likely what you will like on your cheeks if you are into the natural look. So this is one layer of that. I feel like that's not enough to give me enough color to sort of liven up my complexion, so I'm going to apply more. Again, I'm getting some on my hand, and it's not a super generous swatch. You don't have to go crazy. You can build it. The advantage of cream products is they're nice unless they're super, super pigmented. They're buildable, they're easy. It's supposed to be an easy application. You see, I'm just tapping it in with my finger, no big deal. I think I like this amount of blush. I'm going to match this cheek. I don't know what it is. I never get sick in the summer, but the summer has just been brutal. It's been super virusy for me. Again, look at the glow that you get from the cream products. You can powder it down, or you can continue to utilize it as well if you really like it. I'm going across my nose a little bit because I do like to do that with blush. I think it looks really natural and gives you a more youthful appearance if you have a little bit of a blushing color on your nose. And again, I've sort of irritated my skin by touching it because I have super sensitive skin. This redness will settle down and it'll just give you the slightest bit of a color flash. You'll see it happen as my skin relaxes a little bit. Obviously, sensitive skin is not the best at being massaged. You get the blood flow going, and then you get, you know, color appearing places you might not even want it, like here. Okay, so what's next? I'm jumping around. I'm not really very faithful to a particular routine, like step by step. I'm going to go ahead and take my MAC paint pot with a little bit of MAC paint pot left over on it. This is soft ochre, and I'm going to go ahead and throw down the base. I'm going to do almost nothing to my eyes, so this is going to be basically the primary color that is going to be over the lid. I like it because it stays very, very put most of the time. It's not waterproof, but it stays put throughout the day, no problem at all. I think that people with oily lids, I don't have oily lids, but people with oily lids also said that it works super well. Then I'm going to take Chorus illuminating powder on a fluffy brush and run it onto my mobile eyelid. I'm going to use this little brush from Prescriptives. Any fluffy brush will do. So right over that lid, give yourself a little bit of a glow on the lid basically, and set the cream product underneath. Actually over the entire eyelid you can go also, because this is a pretty natural glow when it comes to illuminating powders. This one is not insane, so you can sort of be a bit more liberal with it. We're not doing a bronzer today actually because I don't feel like it, and because we're going for a supernatural skin. So the fewer products we use, the less detectable the makeup is going to be. I'm not going for a makeup that is supposed to make people feel like I'm not wearing makeup. I'm just going for like a really natural makeup where nobody will think to wonder if your makeup is on or not. And I also might or might not, some days yes, some days no, throw in a soft brown shade in my crease. Today I will, just for demonstration purposes. This is MAC Soft Brown. I'm going to take my Yves Rocher Fluffy Blender brush, pick some up, and dust it into the crease. So this is just to have a very minimal amount of contrast, because I'm not even putting like a crease shade in, I'm just putting a transition shade in. And soft brown can be a warm transition shade for me. You can see the difference is pretty minimal. You can barely see it. But just to sort of have a bit of a difference, you know, between the eyelid and the eye crease, because it was quite erased with the soft ochre. It's pretty pigmented. I also like to throw some under my eye. And that's it. You could go in with a liner shade and a tiny brush and emphasize your lash line. I can show that. I don't always do that one either, but I'll demonstrate, I guess. It can be an angled brush, it can be a smudger brush, whatever. I just picked up this tiny one detail liner brush from Real Techniques, and I just smudge it along the outer third of my lash line. That's it. So this one is really not entirely visible, but eyelash stuck to my skin. You know, with the cream products, it's not like powder and you can wipe it off. It gets stuck to your skin. And the other eye, like super, super natural looking into the lash line. We're not making winged liner happen here at all, because that feels like too much effort. Just the lash line. There we go. Super easy. If you want, you can also go over the lower lash line, but I just ran out of patience for my eyes, so that's not happening. And now I will powder today. I will take my Core Setting Mineral Rose Powder, and this is a super glowy powder, so I can actually go over my whole face with it. I'm going to take a fluffy kabuki brush for that. Pick up small amounts of powder at a time and sort of just give myself a pat. The idea here is sort of to, not to buff the powder in, but to sort of press it in. And the more finely milled the powder, the less it's going to be visible on the skin. This is pretty much invisible on the skin. You can see that I absolutely retained every flaw that was in my skin, but it's fine with me. Also, yeah, keep in mind, if you have a lot to hide, if you have issues with your skin, then you absolutely go in just with a high coverage concealer, something like Boing by Benefit, or excuse me, the Laura Mercier one in the pot, something like really waxy so it stays around on your skin, and you go in with that and then you powder over that. So, you know, get coverage where you need it, not all over. I'm moving, the older I get, the more I move away from the all over coverage, or make it a lot lighter than it's intended to be, because quite honestly, I feel like I hate when I can see makeup on my skin. Well, I don't hate it, but it's far inferior to the kind of makeup where you look better but you can't see it. I feel like it took away a lot of the color from my cheeks, so I'm going to go back in with a pretty natural powder. This is Hourglass Dim Infusion, sort of peachy powder blush, and it has this finely milled texture that is not really showing up as powder on skin, so that's why I selected it. You could also do this step first. I mean, that could be just your only blush if you prefer the powder. I kind of like the layering because it does stay slightly better, but that's absolutely not necessary. It's just, I thought maybe cream blush would be enough, but it absolutely was not. And because it's a peachy product, has a bit of a nice tone where I can actually take it across the forehead as well, and it'll give this more sun-kissed appearance to the forehead, a bit of a sheen, and it doesn't look like, you know, I put blush on my forehead. So those kinds of like either peachy or nudie blushes, you can also use in other places on the face. Try it with a light hand and see if it works for you, because for me it's very, very nice and easy. Now I'm going to make another unnecessary step. This I would just, if I was in a hurry, I would just leave it like that and move on to my eyelashes, but I just wanted to sort of get use out of this product. This is Guerlain's Meteorites highlighting stick, and it's going to go over my cheekbones. It doesn't really add very much. Actually, the more I use it, the more I feel like maybe for very pale people like myself, it can get effect out of it. But quite honestly, for anybody else or anybody who's not crazy about Guerlain like I am, clearly I use a lot of their products and perfumes too, I feel like that's not a worthwhile product at all. So that's actually, for anybody who's not insane about Guerlain, is a pass. For people who love Guerlain, it's not bad. It's pretty nice, but not essential. So I would not go there actually if I wasn't crazy about Guerlain. But since I am, I'm happy to have it. So I'm going to go in with my mascara. I'm still sort of building an opinion on that. This is Extra Wow Lash Building Mascara from Rimmel. This is certainly not, I mean, it's long lasting. It doesn't seem to flake, at least right now it doesn't. And it's summer, so things do get sweaty sometimes, but if it gets into your eye, it does sting. So if you have sensitive eyes, this might not be for you. If I don't get into my eye, it doesn't bother me all day. There is some small amount of smudging at the end of the day under the eye, so it totally is not perfect. I like the effect that it gives. This is a single layer, and I think it's a nice effect. I mean, it's a decent mascara. The way it looks is good. I enjoy it, but quite honestly, I'm not sure if I will be repurchasing because although I love how it looks, I've tried enough mascara to sort of not want to tolerate any smudging at all. I feel like, you know, we're at a place with technology where mascaras just, they shouldn't smudge. We know how to make formulas that don't, because plenty of brands do. And they're not waterproof. They're just regular mascaras, but they don't smudge. Given that I don't have oily lids or any kind of, you know, major sweating going on throughout the day, you know, it's not like I'm going to work out in that mascara. I think that it should probably perform a little better. I'm not yet sure if I'm going to give it up and move on to the next one, or I'm going to get more use out of it. So far, just thinking about it, you know? And I do wear it on lower lashes, so yes, of course, it'll smudge. It has more chances of smudging that way. But honestly, I have mascaras that I've tried a lot of mascaras, actually, that don't smudge at all, on me at least. Of course, it's also personal. What works for my lashes might not work for other people's. So this is how I'm going to go today. Really sort of minimal light makeup, no foundation. You see all of the freckles. I don't really have blemishes right now, but if I did, I would just cover them up with concealer and powder over them. That's what I would do, and that's what I have done in the past. So this is how I achieve my natural everyday look without foundation. Hope you guys have a good day. See you later. Bye-bye.